Yeah. In the last video class, I told up to median. Now, after that, there are some related positional measures. Related positional measures, like that of median. We'll come across some of the positional averages, positional measures, related measures. What are they? First one is quartiles. Quartiles. So, what is this quartiles? Taking the data and dividing the data into four equal parts, leaving one part and considering the three parts is nothing but quartiles. Okay, that is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. That is, we will divide the given data, whatever it may be, into four equal parts, and one part will leave. That is, 25% of the data will leave, and remaining three quarters will take into account. That is nothing but the quartiles. Then after quartiles, you will have octiles. Okay, whatever it may be, the given data that was given, okay, we have to divide that into 8 parts, leaving one part and considering the 7 parts is nothing but octiles. Next, deciles. Taking the data and dividing that data into 10 equal parts, leaving one part and considering the 9 parts is nothing but deciles. And after deciles, you will have percentiles. Okay, taking the data and dividing that data into 100 parts and leaving one part and considering the 99 parts is nothing but percentiles. These are nothing but the related positional measures that we come across. And how we have done in with median, in the same way we have to do all these things. Okay, quartiles, octiles, deciles, and percentiles. When you go for quartiles, okay, you will come across quartiles both in individual series, discrete series, and continuous series. That is in ungrouped data, grouped data. Now, for the benefit of you, okay, I'm telling quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. Because in very, very rare circumstances, we'll go for octiles. But most commonly, we'll come across the quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. So I'm going to deal with those three things, leaving the octiles. Okay. Now, first of all, we are going for the individual series, please. In individual and discrete series, first of all, you have to take into account Q1. Okay, size of n plus 1 by 4th item. Same, how you have done the median, how you have calculated the median, in the same way you have to calculate. That is, you have to arrange the data either in ascending order or descending order, and you have to take the formula size of n plus 1 by 4th item, and whatever it may be the size, okay, you have to take the corresponding value, and that value will become the Q1 in individual series. Discrete series, you have to take into account the cumulative frequency, and you have to apply the formula size of n plus 1 by 4th item, and that size of the item you have to locate in cumulative frequency, and corresponding value will become the Q1 value. Like this, you will come across for Q1. And when you go for Q1 in continuous series, okay, you have to use size of n by 4th item. There is no necessity for us to add 1. So when you go for that, automatically you are going to get the Q1 class. And again, you have to take into account the interpolation formula in order to get the Q1 value. What is the interpolation formula? Same as how you are doing in median, the same thing. L plus n by 4 minus Cf by F into I. That will give you the value of Q1. And Q3, okay, in individual and discrete series, I'm telling. Q3 is equal to size of 3n plus 1 by 4th atom. You have to multiply with 3 because it is third quartile. And the procedure, what I told just now, it is same. Okay. And Q3, when you go for continuous series, size of 3n by 4th item. Okay, here you will come across Q3 class, and again you have to go for interpolation formula, and you have to take the value of Q3. This is about quartiles. Now coming to deciles, D1. D1 is equal to size of n plus 1 by 10th item. This is both in individual and discrete series. Same procedures will follow. D1 in continuous series, size of n by 10th item in continuous series. And again, you have to go for interpolation formula, and thereby you are going to get the D1 value. Now, D9 in individual and discrete series. Okay, size of n into n, 9 into n plus 1 by 10th item. That is in individual and discrete series. D9 in continuous series, size of 9n by 10th item, and again you have to go for interpolation formula. D10, size of 10 into n plus 1 by 100 item, 100 percentile means 100. So this is in individual and discrete series. Okay, P10 in continuous series, size of 10n by 100th item, 10n by 100th item, and again interpolation formula will come. And P99 in individual and discrete series, size of 99 into n plus 1 by 4th n plus 1 by 100th item in individual and discrete series. And in continuous series, 99n by 100th item, and again interpolation formula will come. This is how you'll come across the related measures, okay, related positional measures after median. Now we are going for mode. Okay, this is very peculiar thing that we come across. The mode or the modal value is that value in a series of observations which occurs with the greatest frequency. Okay, with the greatest frequency. Greatest frequency in the sense that how many number of times the same value it occurred, that thing is nothing but the highest frequency. The mode of a distribution is the value at the point around which the items tend to be most heavily concentrated. It may be regarded as the most typical of a series of values. This is the thing that we come across when we go for mode. It is the value which has the greatest frequency density in its immediate neighborhood. This is one more important thing that you have to note down. This is the reason mode is also called as most typical or fashionable value of a distribution. A set of data may have a single mode, in which case it is said to be unimodal. See, in this mode also, you will come across so many different things. Okay, unimodal, bimodal, multimodal. Okay, like that you'll come across. A set of data may have a single mode, in which case it is said to be a unimodal. It may have two modes, which makes it bimodal, or it may have several modes and be called as multimodal. Okay, the mean does not always provide an accurate reflection of the data due to the presence of extreme items. Median may also prove to be quite unrepresentative of the data owing to an uneven distribution of the series. To overcome the shortcomings, mode is used. Moreover, mode is the easiest to compute since it is the value corresponding to the highest frequency. Okay, now calculation of mode individual series. For determining mode, count the number of times the various values repeat themselves, and the value occurring maximum number of times is the modal value. The more often the modal value appears relatively, the more valuable the measure is, and the measure more valuable the measure is an average to represent the data. So in individual series, you have to count how many number of times that value it repeated. So that value which repeats, okay, I'm more number of times or highest number of times, that value will be the mode value. Now coming to discrete series. In discrete series, you'll come across frequency. All the people, they know about that. In discrete series, mode can be determined just by inspection, that is by looking to that of the variable around which the items are most heavily concentrated. That is, okay, you have to take into account the data as well as the frequency, and whose frequency is more, that value, the corresponding value will be the modal value in discrete series. Okay, and coming to the next stage. Okay, sometimes what will happen is the influence of the preceding and the succeeding values, they will determine, they will make the highest value. That is difficult. We can say that the preceding value and the succeeding value, they won't allow us to determine the mode correctly. In that case, we have to go for another procedure, and that procedure is nothing but grouping and analysis tables. Now, in grouping table, you will have 6 columns, please. You will have 6 columns. That is, you will take the data as well as the frequency. Frequency will be the first column, and second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, we have to take into account. Okay. A grouping table has 6 columns. In column 1, the maximum frequency is marked in a circle. In column 2, frequencies are grouped in twos. Okay, frequencies are grouped in twos. 2 frequencies we have to add and we have to write down. In column 3, leave the first frequency and then group the remaining in twos. You have to leave the first frequency and you have to add two frequencies. In column 4, group the frequencies in threes. 3 frequencies you have to add. In column 5, leave the first frequency and group the remaining in threes and group the remaining in threes. And in 6th column, leave the first 2 frequencies and group in threes. This is how you'll have to do the grouping table. Okay. In each of these cases, take the maximum total and mark it in a circle. Okay. Next, analysis table. After preparing the grouping table, prepare an analysis table. While preparing the table, put column number on the left side vertically and various probable values of mode on the right side horizontally. The values against which frequencies are the highest are marked in the grouping table and then entered by means of a bar in the relevant box corresponding to the values they represent. This is how you have to prepare the analysis table. Now, coming to continuous series. This is very, very important. In continuous series, either by inspection or by preparing the grouping and analysis table, you will come to know about the modal class. Mind it. You will come to know about the modal class. Then after finding the modal class, you have to apply another formula that is also an interpolation formula. Okay, that interpolation formula is mode is equal to L plus delta 1 by delta 1 plus delta 2 into I. So what is L's? Lower limit of the modal class. Delta 1, the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the frequency of the preceding or pre-modal class. Pre-modal class, that is preceding class. That is delta 1. Delta 2, okay, the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the frequency of the post-modal class, that is succeeding. I is nothing but the class interval. So the interpolation formula to calculate modal value after getting the modal class is L plus delta 1 by delta 1 plus delta 2 into I. This is one formula. And you can write the same formula. Okay, you can go for another formula. That is, mode is equal to L plus F1 minus F0 by 2F1 minus F0 minus F2 into I. Sir, what is this F1? Frequency of the modal class. F0 is equal to frequency of the pre-modal class, and F2 is equal to frequency of the succeeding modal class. This is how you will come across. Okay. So this formula you can apply, or the previous formula also you can apply, but you have to apply, okay, compulsory the interpolation formula to in order to know the modal value. This is about this. And sometimes when you want to go for analysis table and grouping table, okay, there will be a chance for you to get two values equally. Okay, in the analysis table, you'll come across two values equally. Then we can say that we are having bimodal class. Or some people, they'll say that the mode is ill-defined. When you come across bimodal class or when the mode is ill-defined, we'll have one more formula, and that formula we'll call that thing as empirical formula. Okay, empirical formula. According to empirical formula, mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. This is the last formula that we'll come across when we go for mode. Okay, so after this, we are going for geometric mean. Geometric mean. Okay, what is this? Okay, just like arithmetic mean, this is also a calculated mean, please. Okay, this is also a calculated mean. And in arithmetic mean, we are taking the summation. Every time we are taking summation. Sum up. But in geometric mean, it is not like that. It is the product of. Every time we'll go for product. There you are adding. Here you have to multiply. See the peculiarity. Okay. Now, geometric mean is defined as the nth root of the product of n items or values. See, what is this? Okay, nth root of product of n items or values. Every time we have to product, every time we have to multiply, and we have to take the square root. If it is 2, we have to multiply and we have to take the square root. If it is 3, we have to multiply and we have to take cube root. Like that, n items, whatever it may be, the n items that we come across, we have to take the nth root. Mind it, you have to product. Mind that, you have to multiply. So symbolically, GM is equal to square root of, okay, x1 into x2 into x3, etc., xn. Okay, where x1, x2, etc. represent the various items of the series. So, actually speaking, what is the simple formula? I told you already. GM is equal to nth root of product of n items. Okay. Now, some people, when the values are, okay, small, they can do multiplication. They can find out the product. But when the values are increasing, but when the values are more, it is highly difficult for us to multiply and take the square root. In that case, one thing will assist us, and that thing is nothing but logarithms. You have to take into account the logarithms. When you go for logarithms, the multiplication will become addition and the division will become subtraction. Okay, so when you are going and when you are using this logarithms, log GM is equal to log x1 plus log x2 plus log x3 plus etc. log xn by n. By n. This is how you will come across. And when you want to remove the log for GM, automatically it will become the anti-log. So therefore, GM is equal to anti-log of anti-log of sigma log x by n. This is a formula that we come across in individual series. Once again, I'm telling geometric mean is equal to anti-log of sigma log x by n. Now, coming to discrete series, GM is equal to anti-log of sigma f log x by sigma f. There you have to multiply the log x values with corresponding frequencies. Okay, with corresponding frequencies, you have to multiply. Okay, thereby you'll come across sigma f log x. Okay, in continuous series also, GM is equal to anti-log of sigma log, sigma f log m by n, m by f, sigma f. Once again, I'm repeating that. Okay, don't get worried. In continuous series, GM is equal to anti-log of sigma f log m by sigma f. So in first two cases, we have taken x. Here we have to take into account m, that is mid value or middlemost point. Okay, this is how you will come across. And the peculiarity in using this logarithms is, okay, they will make the multiplications very easy. And you will come across the characteristic features in this logarithms. What is it, how to find out the characteristic? Okay, characteristic, that is most important. Okay, and the second one is, we'll call that thing as Montesa. Okay, now suppose if there are 4 values, 4 minus 1, 3. So 3 will become the characteristic. Taking into account the number of digits, if there are 5 digits, 5 minus 1, then 4 will be the characteristic. If there are 4 items, 4 minus 1, then 3 will be the characteristic. Like that will come across. And one thing you have to keep in mind is, here also you will come across negative values. Okay, when you come across 0 point and any number, then the characteristic will be bar 1. When you come across 0.0 and the value bar 2. When you come across 0.2 zeros and 1, and the value, it is nothing but bar 3. Like that, as many number of times the zeros grows after the decimal, you'll come across negative values. Then after that, by taking into account the log tables, you have to see, okay, in log tables, okay, one thing I'm going to tell you, log tables, it will start from 10 onwards and ends with 99. When you go for anti-logarithms, it will start with 0.00 and ends with 0.99. And the first 2 digits you have to take, and the third digit you have to take, you have to see in the numbers given. There, the numbers will be from 0 to 9. And after that, you will have mean difference. If you want to see any extra value, you have to go for median values, the mean difference, and that value you have to add when you go for log tables. In the same way, anti-logarithms. But mind that the log tables, it will start with 10 and ends with 99. Okay, you will have 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. And after that, you will have mean difference. So this is how you will come across. Okay, this is how you will come across the geometric mean. Okay, and tomorrow I'm going to start this harmonic mean, and we are going to complete that. Okay, so this is about the statistical part, that too measures of central tendency in your examination. Okay, after this, I'm going for the measures of dispersion. Okay, and again, when we go for accountancy, we have to start the partnership accounts. In partnership, admission of a partner, retirement of a partner, death of a partner, dissolution, and insolvency of a partner. These are the things that we have to cover. Okay, and in the next video class, I'm going to start that. Okay, until then, have a nice day.